brothers and sisters. MZ back with another Christmas edition of Who's the Savage Now? Looks like Amy Goodman, Jill Stein. This is a follow-up on the Jill Stein controversy. Look what I found. Guess who came to dinner with Flynn and Putin? Here we go. Here's Vladimir freaking Putin, and here's Jill freaking Stein. Okay, and then a lot of these people are Putin's deputy chief of staff, Putin's then chief of staff, Putin's spokesperson. I'm sorry, I can't talk. Christmas has got me all so excited I can't talk. Putin's spokesman. Sorry. He's not a spokesmodel, he's a spokesman. Sitting right next to Jill. Jill's just taking it all in. Former German, Congress member, a director, a famous director, and his wife, Vladimir freaking Putin. Here's Michael Flynn, retired U.S. retired Lieutenant General, U.S. Army, sitting next to. This is bizarre. This. How do you explain what's going on here exactly? Look at the smile on this guy. Look. It's freaking Ghoul City over here. Look at this guy. What's going on, man? Flynn, Putin. What the fuck is going on? Well, let's dig in. NBC did some reporting here. April 18th, 2017, Robert Windrum. It was a red star-studded affair, the December 15th dinner celebrating the 10th birthday of Russian TV RT, network RT. There we go. That pretty much solidifies it. I'll show you two other references that this was a birthday celebration of the Russian TV network RT. What does Jill call it? Jill called it a global media conference. Okay? So she's clearly uninformed about what was going on. The event she was attending. It was the 10th birthday celebrating it was a star-studded affair. December 2015 dinner celebrating the 10th birthday of Russian TV network RT at a Lux Moscow hotel. President Vladimir Putin. Why would Vlad be there if it wasn't, Russian related? And a host of Russian luminaries toasted a state-backed news channel that U.S. intelligence calls a Kremlin mouthpiece. Well, that's debatable, but. And next to Putin at the head table in the seat of honor was an American retired Lieutenant General Michael Flynn, who would later become Donald Trump's national security advisor, was already advising Trump's presidential campaign when he was paid 45 G's to speak at the gala. I don't trust gala. Beware of the gala. Just beware of the gala. Go back to if you peruse my library of videos, beware of the gala. It is not coincidence that Flynn was placed next to President Putin, said Michael McFaul, U.S. ambassador to Moscow from 2012 to 2014, and now an NBC News analyst. Well, okay, there you go. Revolving door. Government reps into news. Government reps into lobbyist firms. Okay, so take that with a grain of salt. Flynn was considered a close Trump advisor. Why else would they want him there? Yeah, there could be no other reason other than, he's advising Trump, right? Okay. How about the 45 G's? I don't know. Flynn's Moscow jaunt, like his oddly timed phone chats with the Russian ambassador, has been well reported. But who else came to dinner? An NBC News review of video and photos from the RT Gala, beware of the gala, shows a healthy serving of ex-spies, cronies, and oligarchs with a side of friendly journalists and another American. Flynn was one of the 10 people at the head table, including the Kremlin's top leadership. Three of the Russians, including Putin, were under U.S. sanctions at the time for their role in Russia's annexation of Crimea. Putin's spokesman, Putin's then chief of staff, Sergei Ivanov. Sergei Ivanov, then Putin's chief of staff, sat directly across the table from Flynn, a former KGB general who at one point ran KGB operations in Africa. He has also served as Russian defense minister and deputy prime minister. Ivanov had been under U.S. and European sanctions for a year and a half by the date of the dinner. Well, America is now under U.S. sanctions, basically COVID sanctions. Next to Ivanov was Dmitry Peskov, nominally Putin's spokesman, but more importantly, his de facto national security advisor, say U.S. officials. Like almost everyone at the head table that night, he speaks perfect English. What? Like almost everyone at the head of the table that night, he speaks perfect English. Wait a minute. Jill said the German ambassador was the only one that spoke English at the head table. Remember? From my video? Flanking Putin on his right, 2 seats from Flynn, like almost everyone at the head table that night, he speaks perfect, like almost everyone at the head table that night, he speaks perfect English. Jill said nobody spoke English, there were no introductions, and the only person she could talk to was the German congressperson on her right. Flanking Putin on his right, 2 seats from Flynn, sat Alexei Gromov, Putin's deputy chief of staff. U.S. intelligence considers Gromov to be Putin's head propagandist. According to the January 6th Intelligence Community Report on Russian interference in the U.S. election, Gromov oversees political coverage on TV, and he has periodic meetings with media managers where he shares classified information and discusses their coverage plans. He's also been accused by U.S. intelligence of ordering media attacks on opposition figures. Now, we all know that U.S. intelligence... Who trusts U.S. intelligence agencies at this point? I mean, just a question. He has worked directly for the Russian president since 2008 as deputy chief. He too was on U.S. and European sanctions the day of the dinner. There's the editor-in-chief of RT in 2015. After Putin got up to make a speech, his place at Flynn's side was taken by Margarita Simonyan, RT's editor-in-chief. She's also editor-in-chief of Rossiya Segonja, a state-owned and operated Russian news agency created by Putin. A personal friend of Putin, she worked in one of the presidential campaigns before being chosen by... In his dinner speech, Putin praised RT for its objectivity, disclaiming any influence on its coverage. Next to Simonyan was the night's biggest global cultural celebrity, acclaimed director somebody, and his wife there. Born in Muslim, Also at the head of the table were 3 Western politicians. Willy Wimmer, a former member of the German Bundestag, who is often critical of U.S. foreign policy. Cyril Svoboda, former deputy prime minister and interior minister of the Czech Republic, and two-time U.S. Green Party presidential candidate Jill Stein, the only American besides Flynn at the table. She's taking pictures. She said this guy was the only dude that spoke English, and that's Susie. But that's the only who she spoke to. Somebody's lying. NBC News or Jill is lying. Somebody is lying about people's... Everybody... You mean these top Russian diplomats don't speak English? Are we to believe that? Stein's 2016 campaign was heavily promoted by RT. She hasn't spoken much about the RT dinner, but in an interview with NBC News last fall, she deflected questions about her appearance, instead chastising the U.S. media for not paying attention to her campaign, while RT gave it a lot more attention. And my own connection to RT, ironically, it takes a Russian... And my own connection to RT, ironically, it takes a Russian television station to actually be open to independent candidates in this country, and that is a shame. A shameful commentary on our own media, she told NBC's Alex Seitz-Wald. Stein did well enough to help Russia achieve its aims. Her vote totals in the crucial state. Okay, well, whatever. Yeah, maybe, whatever. Beyond the head table, Russia's oligarchs filled many of the seats. Okay, so there were many Russian oligarchs there. Check this out. Here's Jill And she's showing cleavage at look next to all these dudes, man. She's showing cleavage. Jill Stein is showing cleavage. What, she's 50, 60 something? Showing cleavage with this jacket, with this thing falling off, and a low-cut dress. Look at her low-cut dress to promote her ideas about peace and nuclear disarmament. She's leaving. Go, Jill. Go, the cleavage platform. I was there to promote my platform of peace and nuclear disarmament. I don't know what you guys were there for. I was there for peace and nuclear disarmament and to show a little of my cleavage. Like, what the F? Oh my God. Also, at the table behind Putin was Mikhail Gorbachev, the last Communist Party ruler of the Soviet Union, along with and there was Tina Dena, socialite, and unable to attend in person was WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who formerly hosted his own show on RT. Instead, he appeared via satellite as host of one of the 10th anniversary events seminars, where he lamented the end of privacy. Privacy? Yes, privacy. A great learning up. Flynn had already been a frequent guest on RT in the months prior to the dinner. In an interview with Dana Priest on the Washington Post, Flynn talked about why he accepted such a starring role. He said he didn't ask for it, that the Russians sat him next to Putin. I was one of the guests there, some interesting characters. I found it a great learning opportunity. One of the things I learned was that Putin has no respect for the United States leadership. Not for the United States, but for the leadership. When Putin finished his speech that night, Flynn was among the first to leap to his feet and offer a standing ovation. In the year following the dinner, RT was part of the Putin government's overt attempt to influence the U.S. election, according to the U.S. intelligence community. In the January 2017 report on Russian interference, the intelligence community discussed the network's role at length. RT's criticism of the U.S. election, said the report, was the latest facet of its broader and longer-standing anti-U.S. messaging, aimed at undermining viewers' trust in U.S. democratic procedures and undercutting U.S. criticism of Russia's political system. RT editor-in-chief Margarita Simonyan recently declared that the United States itself lacks democracy and that it has no moral right to teach the rest of the world. Jill Stein, here's a kicker, Jill Stein declined an MSNBC News request for comment. Of course. Why would you want to comment? Why would you want to clarify the record? Why would you want to clarify the record? And here she is on Amy Goodman's show, Democracy Now!, and Amy asks her about her visit there.
Former Trump National Security Advisor Michael Flynn and the Russian...
Wait a minute. Time out. We need volume. We need some volume, folks. I'm sorry, it's Christmas. It's been a long day. Okay, here we go. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Here we go. Go, Amy. Oh, Jesus. Hang on. Hang on. I let my producer, have the holiday off. I'm still working. So that's
2015 at a dinner in Moscow.
Dinner in Moscow.
Russian President Vladimir Putin together in 2015 at a dinner in Moscow. You also, Joe, were at that dinner, and you were actually in that photograph at that head table. So, to say the least, you had a bird's eye view. What were you doing there?
So I was there actually to deliver one of the main messages of my campaign, which is that war.
Did you speak? Or did you speak on the stage, or where's that speech? Who did you deliver your message to? That's my question.
Failed in the Middle East, and that we need a peace offensive consisting of a weapons embargo and a freeze on the funding, the bank accounts of those countries that are sponsoring terrorism. At the time, Russia had just begun to bomb.
A freeze on the bank accounts of those states that are sponsoring terrorism. Okay, that sounds problematic.
Russia had just begun to bomb Syria. And my message was that Russia was following in the disastrous footsteps of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East.
So then why would you be sitting in at a five-star dining situation with the perpetrator of the bombing of Syria, Vladimir Putin? Why would you be sitting there in an evening gown with showing cleavage with, the savage Vladimir Putin who bombs innocent people and allegedly, assassinates journalists? I mean, why would you be sitting there at in a five-star dining situation as a peace advocate?
End up at that table. This is the head table.
That's right.
Yep.
What did you end up at?
Amy has to redirect. Jill's deflecting. Amy has to redirect here.
Policy in the Middle East.
But how did you end up at that table? This is the head table.
That's right.
Yeah, good on Amy. Because normally she just says, "Oh, talk about what? Talk about the table, Jill. Talk about it." No, but how did you end up at that table, Jill?
I knew I was going to be at the head table.
She didn't ask you that. She didn't ask you, did you know that if you were going to be at the head table? She asked you, how did you? Not it's who, what, why, when. Who, what, why, when. It's not a who, not a why, not a where, not a what, not a when. It's a how. How did you end up there, Jill? She's not coming clean. She's not coming correct here.
I knew I was going to be at the head table. All of the foreign diplomats were seated at the head table. Unfortunately, there was no interpreter at the head table, and there were no introductions made. Vladimir Putin came in.
And this was a celebration of 10 years of Russia Today.
Well, it was a celebration, but it was also a conference, and there was media there actually from all over the world, including...
Why does she keep trying to make it into a conference? It was clearly a celebration, an RT birthday. Didn't we establish that? And she said, didn't we establish that? Was it? Here's a news article. Guess Who Came to Dinner with Putin by NBC. I mean, as much as we can trust NBC, it was a star-studded affair. The December 2015 dinner celebrating the 10th birthday of Russian TV network RT. There it is, in the first freaking sentence. I mean, as much as we can trust NBC, why would anyone lie about what the event is? And here's another affirmation of that. On the Gray Zone, Aaron Mate, Ben Norton, they're the Gray Zone. This is Katie Halper. She's a special needs. She's a special needs independent journalist. And then, of course, you have Jimmy Dore here. But listen to what Ben says about the event.
We've been silencing him. We haven't been elevating him because he, of course...
Boy, she's got a voice for broadcasting, doesn't she?
...to Fox. It's like him and then Putin in the chain of command, so yeah.
Yes, definitely. Elite camp leading the way, Putin right behind him.
And then the rest of us.
Well, Jill Stein, because Jill Stein, she made a telepathic connection with Putin when she was at that RT Gala, and
RT Gala. He just said the RT Gala. Beware of the gala, folks. Beware of the gala.
I like them.
Okay.
And, yeah, Jimmy, you should. I just want to say you should come back to the show whenever. And
Wait.
For Clem by this conversation.
Okay, never mind. I've lost that. But you heard Ben say it was an RT Gala, and then Jill wants to make it into a global media conference.
Celebration, but it was also a conference, and there was media there actually. Made. Vladimir Putin came in.
And this was a celebration of 10 years of Russia Today.
Well, it was a celebration, but it was also a conference, and there was
Says who?
Everything.
Says Jill Stein. It was also a conference, says Jill Stein. Oh my God. It was
in Moscow. You also, Jill, were at that dinner, and you were actually in that photograph at that head table. So, to say the least, you had a bird's eye view. What were you doing there?
So I was there actually to deliver the...
What were you doing there? Okay. What were you doing there, Jill?
To deliver one of the main messages of my campaign, which is that war has failed in the Middle East.
Your campaign as the unnominated presidential candidate for the Green Party?
And that we need a peace offensive consisting of a weapons embargo.
Are you going to convince Vladimir Putin that he needs a peace offensive? What? Oh my!
And a freeze on the funding, the bank accounts of those countries that are sponsoring terrorism. At the time,
a freeze on the bank accounts of those countries that are sponsoring terrorism. Yeah, good luck with that.
Russia had just begun to bomb Syria, and my message was that Russia was following.
So, Russia had just begun to bomb Syria. So I thought it would be a good idea to sit down to dinner with Vladimir Putin and his coterie of henchmen, spokesman, communications director, etc., and a retired general, lieutenant general, being paid $45,000 to give a speech there. I thought that would be a good idea for peace.
In the disastrous footsteps of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East.
But how did you end up at that table? This is the head table.
Jill, see, Jill's not answering the question. Amy has to ask it again in a more direct manner. Right? But Jill, that's not what I asked you. How did you end up at that table? Go, Jill.
Your assessment of that as a person who ran against him.
How did I end up there?
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry.
Donald Trump is a peace offensive consisting of a weapons embargo and a freeze on offensive consisting of a weapons embargo. And war has failed in the Middle East, and that we need a peace offensive consisting of a weapons embargo and a freeze on the funding, the bank accounts of those countries that are sponsoring terrorism. At the time, Russia had just begun to bomb Syria. And my message was that Russia was following in the disastrous footsteps of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East.
But how did you end up at that table? This is the head table.
That's right. I knew I was going to be at the head table. All of the foreign diplomats were seated at the head table.
Okay, let's... all the foreign diplomats were seated at the head table. Let's go back. They mapped it out here. All the foreign diplomats were seated at the head table. All the foreign diplomats were seated at the head table. Okay, foreign deputy prime minister, Czech Republic. This guy. Putin's deputy chief of staff. This guy. Putin's chief of staff. This guy. Deputy chief of staff, Putin's spokesman. Right next to Jill, German Congress member here. And then a film director here and his wife, and then Michael Flynn. So all the foreign diplomats were seated at that table. These aren't foreign diplomats. These are political advisors to Putin. They're not diplomats. He's a chief of staff. He's deputy chief of staff. Putin's spokesman. These three guys are Putin's inner circle. They're not diplomats. These two people aren't diplomats. He's a film director, and that's his wife. Michael Flynn's not a diplomat. He's a retired general. And this guy, former German congressman, he's not a diplomat anymore. He's a former German Congress member. He's retired. So that statement, all of the foreign diplomats were seated at the head table, doesn't seem to be true if we can believe this NBC breakdown. NBC breakdown of the photo. Jill?
Foreign diplomats were seated at the head table. Unfortunately, there was no interpreter at the head table, and there were no introductions made. Vladimir Putin came
And
in.
this was a celebration of 10 years of Russia Today.
Well, it was a celebration, but it was also a conference, and there was media there actually from all over the world, including U.S. media and Canadian.
So that makes it a conference? Well, clearly, it was I've showed you several NBC News report. Ben Norton said it was an RT celebration, a gala. He called it a gala. NBC News called it a gala, but Jill calls it a global conference. She's the only one.
Chinese, etc. It was a real chance to...
Etc. Etc. I'm sorry. If you use the word etc. or and so on, I'm sorry. I don't know. That undermines your credibility a little bit.
lift up a different point of view about U.S. foreign policy.
It was a real chance to lift up a different point of view about U.S. foreign policy. At an RT Gala? Really? Where did you lift up this different point of view? When and where, how, why? When and where did you lift up this different point of view, Jill? At dessert? Before dessert? Before the main course? Before at appetizers? Back at the hotel?
As well as Russian foreign policy to a broader audience. On that same
So
trip,
you didn't get a chance to talk with Putin then?
I was hoping to deliver my message to Putin, but there was no interpreter. He walked in with a group of people that I thought were his bodyguards. It turns out they actually were his head of communications, his chief of staff, etc. But you wouldn't have known it. I spent the dinner talking to the German diplomat to my right. He was the only person who spoke English that was in earshot of me.
He was the only person who spoke English that was in earshot of me. Okay. Really? If we can believe NBC News. Like almost everyone next to Ivanov was Dmitry Peskov, nominally Putin's spokesman, but more importantly his de facto national security advisor. Say U.S. officials. Like almost everyone at the head of that table that night, he speaks perfect English. You see that? Like almost everyone at the head of the table that night, he speaks perfect English. And are we to believe that that top Russian advisors to Putin, etc., don't speak English? I mean, she's claiming that this guy, the German Congress member, former German Bundestag member, I think that's the German Congress. This guy was the only one who spoke English there. So that's the only person she was out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 other individuals none of these people spoke English. None of them. That's hard to believe. That's hard to believe because in other countries they study English as a second language. ESL is very popular. You can travel. Just Google ESL online. There's a plethora of websites. You can go teach English in any country you want. They all want to learn English. At least they did. I don't know anymore, but she's claiming that this guy was the only dude at the table that spoke English, which doesn't seem to be true. He was the only person who spoke English that was in earshot of me. Well,
Right. He was the only person who spoke English that was in earshot of me. And, you know,
Your assessment of what has been made of that, and of course, ultimately, Mike Flynn was forced out as National Security Advisor.
Yes, well, you know, bear in mind that Mike Flynn has many contacts to Russia, and in fact was paid $40,000.
45.
Accepted from the Russian government. I wasn't paid a penny, and I declined.
I wasn't paid a penny, and I declined sponsorship for my transportation, my room, and my board. So who's offering to sponsor her to come to Russia to sit at a table at an RT Gala next to Vladimir Putin? Who's offering to sponsor her? She declined. Somebody offered, hey, you want to come to a gala in Russia and sit next to Vlad Putin and, just sit, how about it? How about it? How about it? She said, no. I'm not going to take your sponsorship for my transportation, my room, and my board. I'm going to decline it because I'm independent. Huh. Okay.
Sponsorship for my transportation, my room, and my board. So, I went there, absolute sponsorship for my transportation, my room, and my board. So, which he accepted from the Russian government. I wasn't paid a penny, and I declined sponsorship.
But you could have been paid. You could have been paid. But she declined to be paid. Okay. All right. Well, how is that possible that somebody would pay her to go there? What mechanisms are at work that would pay her to go there?
For my transportation, my room, and my board. So, I went there absolutely without any conflicts of interest or encumbrances.
Really? Okay, but did you come back without any conflicts of interest or encumbrances? That's what we want to know.
But it's like nothing happened.
It's like nothing happened at that dinner. Well, of course nothing happened at the dinner. I mean, everyone's watching you there. It's what happens in the hotel rooms and the conference rooms after that, in the offices after that, in the policy meetings after that, Jill. But it's like nothing happened at that dinner. Well, of course nothing happened there. Well, what did happen? She hasn't mentioned one thing that happened there. Who spoke there? What did you think of Vladimir Putin's speech? Vlad gave a speech, apparently. What did you think of his speech? She hasn't mentioned one thing that happened there. But it's like nothing happened. Well, then why did you go there if nothing's happening? Something happened. People got up and spoke. But you're not telling us anything about that.
Dinner. Nothing happened at that dinner. Michael Flynn has his own issues going on.
Michael Flynn has his own issues going on with Russia. Okay.
I can say that for my own part, that picture circulates without a single fact.
But you're not helping. You are not helping with the facts of that picture. You are not helping with the facts of that picture.
I was there with a number of peace advocates who.
Oh, well, that makes it all right then. If you were there with peace advocates, then we're cool. We're good.
Unfortunately, we have to turn to Russian TV and to Democracy Now, but there are very few TV stations that.
Unfortunately, we have to turn to Russia TV and to Democracy Now. Okay.
Peace candidates. I was there with Rocky Anderson and Ray McGovern,
mayor of Salt Lake City.
Yes.
So we're going to do part.
Oh, well, that makes it all good. We're cool. We're cool then. We're cool.
This discussion, and we're going to post online at democracynow.org.
I looked for that part 2. I couldn't find it, but that's my part 2 of Jill Stein. Just more curiosities, and her explanation doesn't add up. Look how happy she looks. None of these people spoke English within earshot of her. Well, Michael Flynn spoke English. That's earshot, isn't it? None of these people spoke. Michael Flynn allegedly, I would assume, speaks English, but he wasn't in earshot. Vladimir Putin doesn't speak English. Are you kidding me? What about this director, this film director and his wife? They don't know any English. What about this guy? Putin's spokesman. Putin's spokesman doesn't speak English. Okay, well, check that out. Dmitry Peskov, Sergei Ivanov, Alexei Gromov, and Cyril Svoboda. None of these government officials speak English. This was the only dude that spoke English. Okay, well, I'm just double checking her story, and she's taking photos. Look at her, just tickled. She's tickled. 5-star dining with Vladimir Putin. a dictatorial person. And then look at this shot. Look at the cleavage. The jacket's fallen off the left shoulder here. Look, and then there's cleavage. Jill is showing cleavage here. None of these guys, all these guys are pretending not to look, but Jill is showing. She's looking to hook up. Jill is looking to hook up at this gala. Beware the gala. Beware the gala. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Do I have anything else? No, that's it. That's it for this video. Have a blessed day and be grateful. MZ out.